In this edition of 2020 Daily Trail Markers, Democratic presidential candidate Cory Booker raked in more than $1 million just days after Senator Kamala Harris announced she was dropping out of the 2020 race. The New Jersey senator has seen a surge in fundraising after drawing attention to a lack of diversity in the Democratic field. Booker also called out the Democratic National Committee for polling requirements that he says benefit billionaires.
Voters will determine the outcome of this campaign, and black women voters in particular will have a very large impact on our ability to win. And so I'm just going to say it plain. It is a problem that we now have an overall campaign for the 2020 presidency that has more billionaires in it than black people.
2020 campaign reporter Adam Brewster is in Iowa. Candidates are trying to get as much support in the early voting state as possible ahead of the upcoming Democratic debate. And Adam joins me now from Coralville. Adam, thanks so much for being with us. The deadline to qualify for the December debate is coming up on Thursday, the 12th. How has Cory Booker managed to reinvigorate his own campaign by drawing attention to Senator Harris?
He has been, really hitting the message of diversity, like that soundbite you played here in Iowa. He's wrapping up a 4-day, 13-event swing where he has talked about how he has been frustrated, even friends and supporters of his who have said they're frustrated by the fact that someone who he sees as a highly qualified African-American woman in a party where African-American women voters are such a big part of the Democratic Party wasn't able to have the resources, especially financially, to compete and even make it to Iowa. He's lamented the fact that voters in Iowa aren't making the decision on her fate. The fact that it was these rules that he says, and he has been frustrated. And you mentioned those fundraising numbers, Elaine. He has been talking here a lot, trying to carry that mantle of diversity and pleading with people to help him get on that debate stage.
Well, is there any chance he will make it to the debate stage on December 19th?
We'll find out this week. He has until the end of the day on Thursday to hit the polling threshold. He has hit the donor threshold. That would take hitting either 4 national or state polls at 4% or hitting 2 state polls at 6%. And at the end of the day, we don't necessarily know, whether a poll will be coming out yet or if there will be enough polls to even come out to put him up there. He has struggled to hit those numbers recently to get at the 4 or the 6% mark for months. So it's an uphill battle, it seems. A constant part of his message, too, here in Iowa has been asking people, if you think a pollster is calling, pick up your phone. And even if I'm not your first choice, he's saying, if you think my voice needs to be on the stage, just tell people I'm your first choice, because he thinks that he thinks that he has the best chance of building a coalition that can help the Democrats win. He has hit that over and over and over again here in Iowa this week.
Well, there are now 2 billionaire Democrats vying for the presidency, activist Tom STEYER and former New York City Mayor Michael Bloomberg. Adam, you spoke with STEYER in Iowa on Sunday about campaign fundraising. What did he have to say?
He actually got some questions, too, about voters from it at his meet and greet he held this morning. And, he said he supports public financing for campaigns, talked about a matching program where the government would match donations. And I asked him, I said, well, should there be a limit on the amount that an individual can give to his or her own campaign, just like there are limits on the amount individuals can give to someone else's campaign? And he wouldn't really answer the question. He didn't put a number out there or say yes. He simply said that he supports public financing, and he thinks the way the system could work in public financing would be to sort of help create an equitable amount of resources that would exist between candidates. But certainly, he and Michael Bloomberg don't have to worry about financial issues with all the self-funding that they can do of their campaign.
Well, South Bend, Indiana Mayor Pete Buttigieg is also in Iowa, and he's facing questions after it was revealed that a consulting firm he once worked for helped ICE carry out President Trump's immigration policies. Adam, is this a concern to voters at all?
So that the McKinsey issue has come up a lot, the past week and the past several days for Mayor Pete Buttigieg. A couple of my colleagues, Mustik Badar and Jack Turman, were at Pete Buttigieg's event earlier today in Washington, Iowa. And they talked to several people who said they didn't know enough about the McKinsey issue to really comment on it. I had a chance to talk to a couple of people before his event in Coralville. A couple of people also said they didn't really know a lot about it. One person I spoke to said he had been following it, and he said it would be something that he would like to see, but it's not necessarily going to be a determinative factor in whether he he supports Mayor Buttigieg. Now, of course, Mayor Buttigieg has called on McKinsey to release the list of clients that he worked for. We've reached out to McKinsey and haven't heard back. The other issue that Buttigieg has faced questions about from Senator Warren is opening, his fundraisers. He's been asked about it by the press constantly this week in Iowa, whether he would open his fundraisers to pooled press sometimes. He has said wait and see. Some of the people I spoke to before the event in Coralville said that is something they would like to see him do. Supporters said they want to see him open those events to press. It's an issue of transparency. One person I spoke to said he's pretty in for Pete, but if he were to not open those up, it might make him reconsider.
Interesting. All right, Adam Brewster for us. Adam, thank you very much.
Thanks, Elaine.